If you keep your conscious mind every single day on that vision, and not on the news, and not on your suffering, and not on your pain, and not on your past, but you put all of your attention on that vision, where you place your attention is where you place your energy.
Right.
And if you invest enough of your energy in your future, your body is going to be drawn to that experience. Most people then create reality from what we call three-dimensional creation.
What they know also.
Well, they're matter trying to change matter, and if I am going to get a good job, I'm going to do 100 applications and go on, 10 different, 20 different interviews, and then it's going to take me 3 months to get a job. I may not even like that job, but I got a job.
So they're pushing their will or their intent, but physically in the world with
They're matter trying to change matter.
Okay.
Or you want a new sperm donor, you want a new partner, you want a new specimen, you want somebody to live your life with.
Right.
Then you're going to go on Match.com, you're going to spend 2 hours. It's going to take time in three-dimensional reality, because time is defined by us moving through space. And in this dimension, there's way more space than anything else. So we experience time as we take matter through space. That's how people create. You buy the house, 30-year mortgage, you pay it off in 30 years, it's yours. It takes time to do that. Now, fifth dimensional creation has nothing to do with going anywhere to get anything. Because if you combine a clear intention, a coherent thought, coherent brainwave pattern, with a coherent heart, moving into that elevated emotion, thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. The magnetism of this center becomes the energy. The intention is carried on that energy. And now you are broadcasting a new signature into the quantum field. Now, if it's done properly and you understand the mechanics, and I can't get into it in this show, but in fifth dimensional creation, you are not going anywhere to get anything. You are actually collapsing space and time, and you are drawing the experience to you. You are the vortex, because when there's a vibrational match between your energy and that potential that exists in the quantum field by tuning a radio dial, when you lock into that frequency, if you keep revisiting that energetic signature over again every single day, then you don't have to go anywhere and get it. The new job finds you. The new house actually finds you. The new relationship finds you, because you are the vortex that's drawing the experience to you. Well, the frontal lobe is the crowning achievement of the human being.
Right.
It's 40% of your entire brain. It's the symphony leader, it's the CEO, it's the creative center, it's the boss. When you're living primarily unconsciously, the rest of the brain is active and the frontal lobe is dialed way down. The moment you ask a question, or you get a creative idea, the moment you speculate possibility, the moment you ask what if, the frontal lobe, the seat of our attention, our intention, our creative center, where we speculate, where we restrain emotional reactions, where we control behaviors, where we have focused concentrations, where we demonstrate free will. The moment that center turns on, like a great symphony leader, it has connections to all other parts of the brain. And when you ask that question, the frontal lobe resources different neurological networks that's stored in your brain from things you've learned and experienced, and seamlessly pieces them together to create a new level of mind. And when that happens perfectly in tandem, and those neurons string together, you get an image or a picture in your head. That internal representation is called intention. Now you're locking on to something. The true passionate creator, the true artist then, begins to see that vision and begins to emotionally embrace the outcome. The moment they begin to emotionally embrace the outcome, their brain and body are living in the future, in the present moment, and when they're transfixing their idea on it, they begin to lay down new neurological networks to reflect that vision. So then once you get that vision, now you have to go through a process of bringing it to life. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road.
It certainly is, because we get these moments all the time, and do we do anything with it?
Exactly. So then we've all done this. I mean, we've all been defined by a vision. And people in our life told us it was crazy, it's impossible, it'll never work. There were days you didn't feel like it, all that stuff. But instead, you were defined by that vision. And every day, you reviewed that vision and you got excited about it emotionally. And you wrote down the choices you were going to make, and you wrote down the behaviors you were going to demonstrate, and the things you were going to do, and your goals that you wanted to experience and how they felt. And you kept your mind on that vision.
Exactly.
And then you sat down and you wrote down, okay, what are the choices I'm not going to make today? What are the things I'm not going to do? What experiences am I going to stay away from? And what emotions bring me down to a lower level? Let me just get clear on who I no longer want to be.
Right.
And if
okay.
you reviewed that every day, that distinction between the old self and the new self, there's a lot of pruning going on neurologically in the brain, a lot of sprouting going on at the same time, and sooner or later you reach a point where you know that that thing's going to occur. The moment you know it's going to occur, you relax. Your mind and body all of a sudden align energetically with that vision, electromagnetically. There's a lock-in, and when you lock into it, now you don't even you don't even have to worry. You just know that it's going to happen. You have such a level of self-love and self-respect for yourself and for everybody that you actually step back and allow it to unfold and come to you. Think of a time in your life where you said you were going to do something and you didn't accomplish it. Well, what happened then? You had a vision, you got excited, and then you ran out of time the next day, and you didn't feel like it, and you got tired, and you got angry at someone 2 days ago, and you started putting your attention on your problems, and there was, you had a lot of social engagements, and what we do is we settle for our past, present reality instead of that vision of the future, and there's only three things that do that to us. The conditions in our environment, the feelings and emotions in our body, and time.
So we have to overcome the conditions of the world we're living in if we're going to want creating the vision of the future.
Every great person in history understood that they had to be defined by a vision of the future, and to change is to be greater than your environment, to be greater than the conditions in your external world, to be greater than the circumstances in your life. It's also to be greater than the body as the mind. You could be defined by a vision of the future and then see your ex-wife, and the next thing you know, you have an emotional reaction, and now you can't remember your vision.
Exactly.
So then, your ability then to say, I want my vision more than this emotion. Anytime we give up on being defined by a vision of a future, that our thoughts create our reality or create our life, there's only one reason we do that. We trade that vision for some emotional addiction. And we settle back down into mediocrity, and then we find the person in our life and they say, well, I'm suffering today. Oh, you're suffering today? Well, let's see, I'm going to suffer more than you. Oh, really? I'm going to suffer more than you. And we use the people in our life that are doing the same thing to reaffirm our addiction to suffering.
Which is just an old neural net that we've been stuck in.
Well, let's just call it an unconscious program where everybody gets agreement for being limited.
So you're saying hold on to that vision of the future no matter what.
Yeah. If you keep your conscious mind on what you want, your subconscious mind will take you there, period.
And then in your teaching you talk about it shows up sometimes in ways that are unexpected. Sometimes, or always?
Well, if you are in the process of taking time out of your busy life to emulate the divine, to emulate the creator, then you can't be a victim if you're creating. In order to create something unlimited, you have to feel unlimited. In order for you to emulate the divine, you have to become divine. In order for you to be a creator, you must feel like a creator. Now let me finish. Because this is an important element. Because if you took time out of your busy life every single day to allow that intelligence to work with you, that's both personal and universal, within you and all around you, and you made contact with it, it's all around us, but we can't use our senses to experience it. Then if you said to this intelligence, okay, look, I took time out of my busy life today to be like you. I'm a child of you, and I want to be like you, and so I want to create something new in my life. But look, I am such an articulate ego. I want you to bring it in a way that I least expect. Why? Because if you can expect it, it's nothing new. It's got to be a surprise. It's got to rock your world. It's got to catch you off guard. And it has to leave no doubt that what you did inside of you produced that effect outside of you. And when you can correlate the changes you made inside of you with the effect that you produced outside of you, you'll pay attention to what you did and you'll do it again. So the synchronicities, the serendipities, the coincidences or then begin to come back to us, and it's those things that capture our attention, and we get a little rush of energy. And that little rush of energy should be that you're headed in the right direction to inspire you to continue creating. Now, the brain learns by mistakes and learns by surprises. Which would you rather have a few of?
A good surprise, yes. But that is such a hard moment because when the new comes in, the old personality may not even recognize it because it's so used to its old pattern. How do we start to become available to recognizing the unknown?
You have to take time to keep creating. If you keep your conscious mind every single day on that vision, and not on the news, and not on your suffering, and not on your pain, and not on your past, but you put all of your attention on that vision, where you place your attention is where you place your energy.
Right.
And if you invest enough of your energy in your future, your body is going to be drawn to that experience, and you are going to know that experience is for you, and you're going to know that you created it. Now, in the beginning, it's like getting a compass to true north, and there's all kinds of weird fields going on. That's normal. But imagine if you took as much time to invest in your future as you did spending answering emails, and you were passionate about it, and you were clear about it, and you wrote everything down, and you dreamed about it, and you worked on it. You would start getting downloads from nowhere. You would start getting information out of nowhere. You would start understanding exactly what you're doing on a deeper level. So here's the question. Can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the experience has already occurred? And can you fall in love with a future potential, a future reality, to such a degree that your body, as the unconscious mind, begins to believe it's living in that future reality in the present moment?
The physiology of the future is already impacted us.
And you're signaling new genes in new ways. Not only are there biological changes that occur, but there's quantum energetic changes that happen as well. And this is where you have to step outside of materialism in order to understand. If you're living reacting to everything in your life, then you're squandering a lot of energy.
Certainly.
And if you use your boss to reaffirm your addiction to judgment, and you use your ex to reaffirm your addiction to hatred, and you use your enemy to reaffirm your addiction to violence, and you use Facebook to reaffirm your addiction to insecurity, you got a lot of your creative energy tied up.
I certainly do. Thank
a lot
you.
of things, okay? And so there's not a lot of energy for you to design a new destiny because you're mismanaging your energy, okay? So let's keep it really practical. So if you're truly in the creative process, my definition of creation is when I forget about me. I become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time. I become pure consciousness. And the moment I reach that elegant moment of the generous present moment, all possibilities in the quantum field exist truly when our brain and body are in the present moment. When people are living stressed out in their lives, they, for the most part, believe that the outer world is more real than their inner world. And when you do that, your brainwaves go into what's called beta. And beta is your ability to be able to create coherence and meaning between what's going on out there and what's going on in here.
For survival.
Well, just like right now, we're in beta right now. We're relaxed and we're paying attention, but our attention is primarily on our outer world. We're checking in with our inner world as we dialogue. But if there was a tiger in the room, or there was something that's threatening, your brain goes into a super aroused state, and in that high beta state, now you're driving your sports car in first gear. It's good for the short term, but not for the long term.
A lot of people live there. They're worried
70% of the time they're in high beta. So then, in order for you, and when you're in high beta, you're focusing on objects. You're narrowing your attention on something that could be a threat. So if you're stressed out and you're wondering why you keep obsessing about the same thought, is because the hormones of stress are keeping your attention on one thing, because that's the thing that you think you need to address for survival. Okay? Turns out in our research, we've done this thousands of times. When you teach people how to take their attention off of matter, off of objects, off of the particle, and sense energy and sense space and pay attention to nothing, the moment they begin to open their focus, all of a sudden their brainwaves begin to change from beta to alpha. But not only just alpha, where the imaginary inner world starts to become more real, but very coherent brainwave patterns in alpha. So when you're under stress, you're trying to control that person, that thing, that experience, and your attention is shifting from one thing to the next. Turns out that each one of those things has a neurological network in the brain assigned to it, because we've experienced it. As you try to control all these things and your attention is shifting, you measure the brain. The brain is very incoherent.
Why is it important to have coherency?
Well, because the moment you open your focus and the brain begins to acclimate, different compartments of the brain begin to unify. They begin to synchronize, and what syncs in the brain links in the brain.
Okay.
So when your brain is coherent, you're coherent. When your brain is incoherent, you are incoherent. So we've measured this thousands of times. There'll come a moment in our work during a retreat, as an example, by the third day or so, we'll see very large areas of the brain, huge areas, begin to synchronize together. Then we'll see the left side of the brain talk to the right side of the brain. We'll see the front part of the brain talk to the back part. We see this kind of whole brain state start to take place. And I see it every time.
And what happens when the whole brain is functional?
You can walk around and look at that person, and you will see tears of joy running down their face. They feel so whole. They feel so complete that it's impossible to want. How can you want when you're whole? And that's the moment the magic happens.
That's the moment the wave function collapses and boom.
That's the moment something unusual occurs. Yes.
Wow.
What happens is the neocortex, the thinking brain, gets out of the way. When you get beyond your analytical mind, and we've measured this thousands of times, you are at your absolute best, Alan, when you get beyond yourself.
Thank you.
And we see a strip chart, we're measuring someone's brain, and all of a sudden we just see this brrrr, and then there'll be a pause. And then 10 minutes later, brrrr, and we know that's downloads. The person is having epiphanies, they're having downloads. We're getting raw information that's beyond our senses. The nervous system really is the superconductor of consciousness.